So in this week's upload, we've got a cracker of a question which asks, hey Caan, I've got a question for you. I believe in the 80-20 rule and I'm looking for the 20% regards trading. Can you tell me your opinion, the single most thing that was Eureka moment for you and why? So I've got a very simple and effective answer to this that I think you'll be looking forward there. So I'm looking forward to doing this one. I absolutely love the question when I first seen it because I'm also a big fan of the 80-20 rule. I think it's very important to focus all your attention and effort on that 20% that's most productive. For anyone that doesn't understand what we're talking about here, we'll put a link in the description down below to Pareto's principle, which is the 80-20 rule. Particularly, I like to try and focus on the 20 of the 20, which is actually the most effective 5% of your time that you can use. So in answering your question about the biggest advantage here, please bear with me just for a few seconds because I need to lay out a few pieces to explain before I get to the main point. Going straight to it wouldn't make as much sense. So often over time I've seen that new traders, learning traders view trading in the sense of it's some kind of battle or fight. Now I think that's fair enough, because I've looked at it like that in the past too, if I'm quite honest with you, when I very first started out, and that's what we do naturally, although this kind of outlook and perception is flawed and it's counterproductive to what you're trying to achieve. And I think that's also why you'll see a lot of the time business owners, entrepreneurs, people that focus their time, money makers, all that kind of stuff, typically do a little bit better with trading than those who may be coming from a kind of conventional sort of job format and looking at it in that sense, which again, the difference between the two is their perception and outlook on how they're going to actually succeed. So, for example, in the conventional format of a job aspect, a lot of the time people tend to try and compare trading on, what's it worth an hour? What's the hourly rate? And I think that's natural for humans to do that because we want to know if it's worth your time, right? I mean, that's fair enough. But looking at it like a job that's going to produce a consistent hourly rate every single hour is completely counterproductive to the way successful trading is done. So going back to the biggest advantage that you have is the fact that you recognise and your outlook acknowledges the fact that it's not going to be that smooth line. There is going to be ups and downs and you're quite comfortable with that and you approach it uniquely because it is a unique activity. So if we go back to, for example, that sort of fighting analogy, say maybe, I don't know, boxing ring, boxing match, you have the opportunity to step in at any point to the ring and step out. So there's not many other games in life where you're afforded the opportunity to sort of like watch a boxer flail around in the ring, wait until he's tired, step in and then dink, I'll take the opportunity and then step back out. Now with trading, that's exactly what you're able to do because you don't have to be trading all the time. But people new coming into this often miss this, which is their biggest advantage, is the fact that you can choose when you play. And you should have that obsessive focus on the actual activity and the risk, the underlying risk and what's happening rather than the broader picture. You don't have to be in the fight all the time. Okay, so what you want to do is take your opportunities, pick your opportunities carefully, sit on your hands a lot of the time, step in, wait until your opponent, if you want to call it that, the marketplace is overextended, is a little bit woozy, a bit tired, and then bang, land the killer blow, take the opportunity, manage the risk, step back out and wait for the next round. Okay, so that is the biggest advantage. I can think of several different famous sayings that sort of align with that quite closely. Obviously you've got Warren Buffett says rule 1, don't lose money or something like that, or don't take excessive risk, and rule 2 is remember rule 1. So manage the downside, step in, take those opportunities, which is the up and down rather than that smooth curve. Also the aha, which you mentioned in the question there as well, for me was putting a few different things together. Now I've mentioned this in other places before, but another one of those quotes I kind of like, which makes perfect sense, is when people are greedy, be fearful. When people are fearful, be greedy. Again, not smooth curve, a consistent hourly rate, different outlook. And at the time I was reading the Jesse Livermore book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. Find it on Amazon, we'll put a link in the description down below too. Now what that won't do is give you an edge or an advantage in any particular marketplace, but it will give you a very good outlook and view and understanding of the way in which one of the most famous speculators viewed the marketplaces. And one of the key things within that was he said, you know, within each opportunity for a trade, you don't necessarily want to be getting in right at the beginning, you don't want to be getting out right at the end, you just want to take that middle section. And what he's really talking about there is managing the risk, because the riskiest parts of the trade are at the two ends. So just take a smaller segment in the middle there, be a little bit less greedy about what you're doing, and it will pay you over the longer term. But essentially they're all the same thing. What you want to do is remove the risk and give yourself that unfair fight. You're not looking for a fair situation where you step in and you fight back and forth, and quite frankly it's stressful and it's more risky and you don't need it. So risk often comes from, you know, when you've got a lack of control on something, and stress is not acting in the way you know you should be in a situation. So don't do that with your trading. That is your biggest advantage by far. Choose when to play. Don't succumb to those things like impatience, feeling like you've got to be involved all the time, being greedy, overextending yourself. Not knowing what you're doing is probably a little bit disconnected from some of the things we're talking about here, but that's also a problem with that. And of course, discipline. So many people fall foul of discipline, and that's one that you can really address with this by choosing and being very clear on when you are getting involved and when you're not. So just some general advice there. Thought it was a great question. I'm sure this video will be underrated like many of the others about this kind of topic are on the channel. We'll leave one in the end screen up here. There's one particularly that's good to do with mindset and psychology.